There's a part during season 15 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that I love. It's a quick blink and you'll miss it type detail that the show has been layering in to heighten its comedy since it first aired back in 2005. The kind of detail that is likely to go unnoticed. Admittedly, I didn't even really catch it until my second viewing. In fact, it already happened. Right there.
You didn't see that there, did you? No.
Before I explain why I'm nerding out about this edit, I need to talk about timing. In comedy and editing, timing is everything. And there's maybe no show that understands this better than Always Sunny.
Play it again without the laugh track?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'll sleep you.
See, that goes right back to super dark.
Bummer without it, isn't
It's not
it?
funny. It's not funny. You know, let me just try it again. With the
Well, I'll sleep you.
That's funny. I mean, that's funny.
It's weird because the situation really isn't funny.
I know, but the laughing tells me that it's funny.
They have timing, man. They have timing for sure. Yeah.
Recently, the show broke the record for longest running live-action sitcom of all time. This is no doubt a testament to the great performances and writing and the way the show continues to be creative in its delivery. Whether it's a slapstick stunt that takes an entire episode to set up, or an obvious Texas switch played for a comedic effect, Always Sunny is a show that will use every trick in the book to get a laugh. And the ingredient that brings it all together is timing.
Okay, how did his legs just do that?
I'm not doing that,
No,
Dennis.
that was incredibly
Let's go
dangerous.
polish off that case.
Did not know he was capable of that.
Yo.
I know I'm not really saying anything new by pointing that out. The show has great timing, especially when it comes to the editing.
Banging your sister is perverted, Dennis.
I am not banging my sister!
But I think what doesn't get a lot of attention is how that sense of timing overlaps a bit with horror, another genre that requires a concrete understanding of timing in order to be most effective. And for my money, there is no show that does comedic horror better than It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Do you think this guy's got any beer in his fridge?
No! There's a bunch of severed heads in there.
In most cases, the horror stuff is explored through the show's best character, Mack. Dennis. I'm talking, of course, about Dennis.
Welcome to
This will frighten the shit out of her.
All of the characters are awesome, but I think what we all love seeing is the darkness that occasionally slips through with Dennis.
There's nowhere for me to run. What am I gonna do, say no?
This always manages to be funny and can even approach being genuinely creepy at times, but it all depends on the way it's shot and edited.
Oh, hello. Wow, sorry. Didn't mean to scare you there.
For example, let's take a look at the episode from season 3 called Mack is a Serial Killer. In an attempt to get into the mind of a serial killer that is terrorizing the neighborhood, Dennis and Dee create fictional killer personas and follow the waitress as she leaves work one night. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Obviously, none of this is meant to be scary. They're dressed like villains from Scooby-Doo, and Dee's shoes are squeaking with each step she takes. It's all pretty silly. But for the waitress, it's a scene from a horror movie. And what really makes this gag work is how it's shot and edited like one. The score is comprised of your standard horror risers and is eventually given some quick strings and pounding drums to raise the intensity. These squeaking shoes also grow louder and faster as they close in on the waitress. Tension is built up, and then it's released. It's the same approach you'd see in horror, but played to create a different response. You may have also noticed that this sequence has two shots that aren't quite level. This is called a Dutch angle shot, and it's commonly used in horror to suggest that something is wrong. These shots can make viewers feel uneasy or unsettled, which is why you have to be very careful when using them. If you were to just throw these out there without purpose, beyond being quirky or offbeat, it could get really annoying. Sorry, there was something disgusting stuck in the back of my throat, but it's gone now. Anyway, Always Sunny wisely uses this effect to heighten the ridiculousness of the situation. The result is a funny sequence that might also work as a horror scene if, toned down a bit. Fast forward to season 15 and you'll find the same techniques, but presented in a different way. This time to convince us that Dennis is talking to a castle that might be haunted. Or he just has COVID.
Don't worry about it.
Either way, it's hilarious, and a lot of it has to do with the comedic nightmare world that the edit drops us into. There's always this constant wind effect added any time we get a scene in the castle to help set the tone.
It has to be tonight.
The score begins with just a few notes from a piano before growing increasingly sporadic as Dennis's crazy starts to come out. This comedic tension builds up thanks to shots and dialogue like this.
The hair is on the head. The hair is a lie, and therefore, it's better to just remove the head altogether.
Okay, Dennis, you're very, very sick, and you need to go to the hospital.
Silence!
Finally, Dennis admits that he probably should get to a hospital, and we get some of that tension released with a laugh.
Go to the old bell tower and ring the goddamn bell, you bitch!
A moment later, though, things get really out of hand, and Dee gets the feeling that the castle might actually be haunted. So we get to see the Dutch angle used again, this time combined with 2 handheld shots that cut left and right to ramp up the pacing, which adds to the sense of urgency. At this point, we also get some shots and a score reminiscent of The Shining, a movie the show has borrowed from plenty of times before. The scene then cuts away right as Dennis attacks Dee. If this were a different show, we'd all probably assume that Dee was dead, but it's sunny, so instead we juxtapose the horror with some cheery music, and a crass line from Danny DeVito.
Dennis would be creaming in his pants if he saw this.
In the episode that follows, we get another great scene with Dennis and the castle. As Dennis explains his Scooby-Doo-esque plan to hide behind this painting and dump a hot boiling substance all over Miles O'Brien, something pretty cool happens. This is where we see that small detail that I was talking about at the start of the video. The technique used here is known as crossing the line, or the 180-degree rule. This refers to an imaginary line between the subjects in a scene. To follow the rule, you have to make sure that your shots never cross the line. But rules are meant to be broken, right? It can suggest danger or deliver a shift in tone. It's kind of like the Dutch angle shot, but a little more subtle. This is the only time in the scene when we see that shot used. And it works here to emphasize Dennis's unhinged glee as he sees Frank react to the murder hole. There's a really great video about this technique and its near invisible application used in the Netflix series Mindhunter that I'll leave a link to in the description if you're interested in learning more. But the reason I think it's so cool is that there's a lot of craft put into this silly comedy show, and it can be easy to take that for granted. Obviously, the writing and performances are a huge part of what makes Sunny so great, but I think the creative cinematography and editing deserve some love too. And that's pretty much it. Let me know what you thought of season 15. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye!